When President Obama honored our Afghanistan war dead by taking part in a military ritual at Dover Air Force Base yesterday, it was easily predictable that a Republican would criticize him for it. And in our fourth story on the countdown, the former vice president's pet attack dog, his daughter Liz Cheney, has now done just that. And once again, she wasn't going to let the facts get in her way. On the John Gibson radio show yesterday, Ms. Cheney was rehashing her father's fact-free critique of President Obama's handling of the war in Afghanistan. Then Mr. Gibson asked her about the president's appearance at Dover Air Force Base.
I don't know why he went to Dover. I mean, I think that clearly it is very important for our commander-in-chief, whenever he can, in whatever way possible, to pay tribute to our fallen soldiers, our fallen military folks. But I think, you know, what President Bush used to do was to do it without the cameras. And I don't understand sort of showing up with the White House press pool with photographers and asking family members if you can take pictures. That's really hard for me to get my head around. I think it's an honorable and important thing for us to pay tribute. There's no greater sacrifice people make to the nation. But it was a surprising way for the president to choose to do it.
As we mentioned yesterday, President Bush never went to Dover Air Force Base to honor dead American soldiers on their final journey home. And Vice President Cheney never did either. Hey, Liz, have you ever lost a relative in battle? I have. My cousin Johnny, West Point graduate just like his father before him. I wish the president or the vice president had met his casket on the way home. You know what never means, Liz? It means zero. It means that in over 7 years of 2 wars, your dad never left the comfort of his White House office or the vice president's mansion and got himself up to Dover to bear witness to how his warmongering fell on families of dead American soldiers. Never, not once. Liz, don't let your dad do this to you. Don't let him parade you onto the stage to defend the indefensible. Let him suffer the full weight of the shame that we know he must feel when he watches Barack Obama do what he never had the decency to do. President Bush did meet with grieving military families in private, and he went to military hospitals to visit the wounded. As for Ms. Cheney's reference to cameras, the policy of banning media coverage of coffins continued unaltered throughout the Bush administration. Thus, even families that wanted media coverage of their loved one's ceremony were not given any choice in the matter.
I mean, here's a couple of sick puppies.
Furthermore, President Obama did not make any special requests to any of yesterday's 18 families, as Ms. Cheney implies. I mean, lies. The vast majority of those families had already made their individual decisions about media coverage under the current policy before the notification that President Obama would be part of the ceremony. As for Dick Cheney, when he was vice president, he sometimes met with the war wounded, but like President Bush, he never went to Dover either. Never. And a reminder, Mr. Cheney successfully sought out 5 deferments from the draft to avoid having to serve his country in the Vietnam War.
It is the sort of moment that probably deserves to pass without too much extraneous political comment. President Obama saluting the coffin of Army Sergeant Dale Griffin during the dignified transfer ceremony for Sergeant Griffin at Dover Air Base early yesterday morning. The presence of the President of the United States at this stirring ceremony was to Liz Cheney just too good an opportunity to pass up to take a political whack at President Obama.
I don't understand sort of showing up with the White House press pool with photographers and asking family members if you can take pictures. That's really hard for me to get my head around. It was a surprising way for the president to choose to do it. I think, you know, what President Bush used to do was to do it without the cameras.
Actually, that's not true at all. President George W. Bush didn't attend ceremonies at Dover with or without cameras. He never went. A spokesman for the former president tonight confirming with us that Mr. Bush, in fact, never attended the arrival of an American soldier at Dover, which means that Liz Cheney is wrong again. This is starting to feel familiar. Not about her opinion about things, but about what she says are the facts of modern American political issues that she's called on to discuss as a pseudo-pundit, as a pseudo-stand-in for her father. Here she is talking about her father, former Vice President Dick Cheney, and the link between Iraq, al-Qaeda, and 9/11.
He has not said that there is a connection between Saddam Hussein and 9/11.
So says Liz Cheney. Let's go to the videotape from the reality-based community.
If we're successful in Iraq, we will have struck a major blow right at the heart of the base, if you will, the geographic base of the terrorists who've had us under assault now for many years, but most especially on 9/11.
He has not said that there is a connection between Saddam Hussein and 9/11.
Well, the geographic base of the terrorists who've had us under assault now for many years, but most especially on 9/11.
Liz Cheney wrong again. She also had this exchange with Joan Walsh from Salon.com on the subject of the prison at Guantanamo and the issue of sending Guantanamo prisoners to the United States.
President Bush in June 2009 gave a speech where he said he would close it and he would bring people home and try them here.
I'm sorry, he did not say he would bring terrorists onto the homeland. No, he didn't say that.
In fact, in June 2006, not June 2009, but in June 2006, President Bush did say exactly that.
I'd like to end Guantanamo. I'd like it to be over with. There are some who need to be tried in U.S. courts.
Tried in U.S. courts, as in courts in the U.S., the thing that Liz Cheney says he never said. And then there was Liz Cheney's attack on President Obama and the issue of American exceptionalism.
We've now seen several different occasions when he's been on these international trips when he's not been willing to say flat out, you know, I believe in American exceptionalism.
And then there's the truth.
I believe in American exceptionalism.
When he's not been willing to say flat out, you know, I believe in American exceptionalism.
I believe in American exceptionalism.
Liz Cheney, wrong again. And now to my favorite, Liz Cheney's pressure group, Keep America Safe, and its web ad showing clips of her organization receiving critical coverage on this network, interspersed with provocative questions like this one.
Why don't they want to debate the issues?
Actually, we do want to debate the issues. And as I've said many, many times before, our booking producers have repeatedly called Liz Cheney and invited her to be a guest on this show to, as they say, debate the issues. We called her again today and, as usual, got no response.